Everybody, welcome back to Brent's Backyard Redneckery. Today, we're getting ready for Thanksgiving. I've got my turkey, getting it defrosted, well, de-thawed, whatever you want to call it. Let's take a look and see how we're taking care of this. So the best way for you to thaw this thing out, stick it in a bucket of water. Make sure it's cold water because you don't want to use hot water because that'll ruin your turkey. Found that out a couple of years ago. And when you're thawing this turkey out, you want to change out that water every 30 minutes to an hour. Go in, you'll feel it. You stick your hand in it and feel like frozen water, so you know it's definitely time to change it out. I usually do this for approximately 4 to 6 hours to make sure it's completely thawed all the way through. Once we've got it thawed all the way through, I'll show you the next step on making the best turkey you've had. I wanted to show you what I do for the brine. I just take 1 cup of salt, 1 cup of sugar, dump it in about 2 gallons of water. So this isn't super hot, but it's also not cold. So we're going with lukewarm and mixing this all up. Once that's mixed up, we'll get this turkey out of the bag and drop it in this and stick it in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And then you'll have the most moistest turkey you've ever had. As far as just plain Jane turkey goes, I'm not going to do anything fancy like some of the things I've seen. We're just going salt and sugar. Spices and butter and all that will go on once the turkey's ready to cook. There's its neck. That's going to go in to the brine as well because I want to get that soaked in to put in our pan that we'll put in the oven to make our gravy. The giblets and stuff I do not want to soak in there with that. So if that stuff's in here, nope, don't feel any, so I guess we won't be having no giblet gravy. Oh, that's good. That's not what I expected, but hey, that's whatever you get. They still come with a meat thermometer in them. Oh, there's my giblets. They got pushed up into the neck hole. I guess we will have giblet gravy. Beautiful. Okay, so all you're going to want to do is take this bad boy and put him in your brine. And try not to make too much of a mess. 20-pound turkey. Come on, baby. Get in there. Oh, I hope it's not too much water. All right, so we got that in there. And we're going to put this in the refrigerator for 24 hours. And we're going to get that drained out. Let it dry out for 24 hours and then it'll be ready to cook. So there's your step on how to make your brine. Get your turkey dropped in there. We're going to go ahead and put that in the fridge and then check on it tomorrow. I've already rinsed this off, but whenever you do a brine like this, you do want to rinse as much of it off as you can. God, this burns big. Okay. So, all right. So there's our bird. I'm still got to cut off the tail. I'm going to use the neck and the tail along with the giblets and some of the other pieces once I get this backbone out to make our gravy. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and show you how we're going to get this backbone out of this baby. All right, first thing we're going to do here, I'm going to cut off this tail. I'm going to put that over here, the neck. All right, so we're going to flip this thing up on its top like that. Okay, so if we look down in here, see the backbone running down the middle? What we're going to do is start with a really sharp knife and go right down through here. Get this backbone out. Come on, baby. Now we're getting to it. All right, I just took it up from the other direction and got it out. So we'll take the backbone. So for right now, we'll just lay it over there and I'll chop it up later. And our next step, see how this is all nice and floppy? We gotta flip this big bad boy over. And we gotta break its freaking chest bone. We gotta break that sternum. Because we gotta get this thing nice and flat to where it will cook evenly. I don't have my hammer handy. I'm gonna try this rolling pin first. Oh, come on. Turkey, you ain't wanting to make it easy, are you? You prick. There it went. About good. So that's our step here. Make sure that's broken or it'll collapse. I still feel it right there. Okay. What I'm gonna have to do now is get this turkey with its wings under it. And we're gonna put it on a rack. Just a plain old wire rack. And what we'll do is let it sit in the fridge. Why'd you pop out of there? Hope that thing still works. If it doesn't, I got a meat thermometer. Then we're gonna let it dry for 24 hours in the refrigerator to get this excess moisture off of here. Once I've dried it down some, that's gonna dry out our skin to where it'll brown up nice and crispy in our oven. I'm gonna cut out these little chest rib cages here. So I'm gonna toss those into our into the gravy mix. Here comes the second one. All right. So I'm gonna get the wire racks on here. The turkey has air underneath it to breathe. Turkey's gonna go on its back, like so. All right, there we go. Now I'll be able to tie those legs together like that. We'll pop this out in the fridge, 24 hours, get it good and dry, and she'll be ready to go in the morning and cook for Thanksgiving. All right, just so you can get a slightly better look here. So this is what the turkey's gonna look like, all splayed out. All right, so now we got the turkey out in the fridge, getting ready for tomorrow. We're gonna go ahead and take a look at how we're gonna make up this gravy. All right, so what we've got in here, I've got my backbone that's all chopped up. I've got the turkey neck, the rib pieces, and we got 2 stalks of celery. I've got 6 ounces of petite carrots because I didn't have regular carrots. And then we've got 6 cloves of garlic somewhere in here. Yep. And then I've mixed all this in with a 1/4 cup of avocado oil. And now what we're going to do is toss that in the oven at 450 for 45 minutes till it's nice and brown, cooked all the way through. Then we'll go on to the next step. All right, so we got everything cooked now. So what we're going to do is add 3.5 cups of chicken broth. We're going to get this up to a boil and scrape it down. And after that, we're going to put this in a larger pot and cook it down, add some more ingredients to it, and turn it into our broth that we're going to turn into gravy later. All right, so basically what we're doing here is just using this to scrape down the remainder of whatever stuck to the bottom of this. So now that I've got that scraped down, I'm going to go ahead and pop it over into my pot over here. And then we're going to add the remainder of our chicken broth, some water, and a little bit of spices, wine, and bring this up to a boil. Come on, don't make too much of a mess here. All right, so we're going to put in 2 cups of water. Then we're going to have 2 cups of Chardonnay, which from what I could read is the best dry white wine to use for poultry. I'm going to throw in a little bit of thyme. They didn't have any fresh sprigs of thyme, so I'll have to use some of this. And we're going to use a little bit of basil. It's going to be Thai basil, so it's a little bit different than your regular basil. It's a little bit more licorice-like, I guess, but it makes for a good broth. And a little bit of crushed up rosemary from the garden. We're going to bring this to a boil. Once it hits a boil, we're going to reduce it to simmer, cover it, let it reduce down for an hour and a half. Then we'll move on to our next step in making our delicious gravy. All right, so we've got us an hour and a half here, and it's reduced down quite a bit. So what we're going to do is get that strained off into a glass container. All right, so what I'm just going to do with this, lift it up off of here. I'm just going to pour it in, strain out all that turkey and other parts. Okay, yeah, that's good. We're going to let it sit for a little while, cool down to room temperature. Then we're going to put it in the fridge and let all the, see where all that fat's starting to separate? What we're going to do is let that fat congeal. We're going to use that for our roux to make our gravy. All right, so what we're going to do here is I've got my 1/3 cup of turkey fat. I'm going to toss that in there and get that heated up. About a medium-high heat. Once that's heated up, we're going to drop in a 1/3 cup of flour. Stir that up till it's all bubbly. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and try to strain out some of the rest of the fat from this. Any kind of lumpy stuff. And then we'll get this up, heated up. Add that and make our gravy. We'll put that on about a medium to high heat. That heated up. Once this is bubbling, we'll mix that in, get this taken care of. All right, so now we've just started bubbling and sizzling where I want it to be. And mix in that flour. You want your 1-to-1 ratio whenever you're mixing this up. That'll make the roux just right. So we'll get that up to where it's thickened up. Once it's blended together, we'll let it bubble for about a minute, and then we'll toss it in to our leftover turkey broth over there. All right, so my roux is up to about where I want it to be now. I'm going to drop it in my boiling broth over there. Then we're going to get this all mixed up, turn it into some beautiful gravy. Oh, look at that. Yeah, always add your fat to your water because it makes a big, nasty mess. Really, you're supposed to add it the other way around, but I screwed up. That's all right. It'll be a-okay. So we're just going to let that cook down just a little bit to where it's a little bit thicker gravy. All right, so there's our actual color. This gravy looks delicious, tastes delicious, and then we can store this overnight and then reheat it tomorrow to have with our Thanksgiving dinner. Okay, so this is the turkey after being in the fridge for 24 hours. It's dried out. You can see here where the skin's a little bit thinner. That's just from where the water's evaporated down through here. And now all we're going to do is cover this in butter. I'm going to put it in at 450 for approximately an hour and a half. Now these babies still do work, so you can still use that if you want. I'm also going to put in my meat thermometer into the thickest part of the thigh and the thickest part of the breast, so I can keep an eye on that as well, just in case. All right, so all you're going to need to do here is just baste this thing down with your butter. I'm using Kerrygold, the Irish butter. Once you get the whole thing basted, then we're just going to pop it in, and about halfway through we'll rotate it. Not really sure what that's going to accomplish, but they claim that it helps. I've got this taken care of. I'm going to get this oven opened up. We're going to pop this beauty in there, and we'll see how delicious it looks once it's done. So you can see I've got my meat thermometer in there. I've also got it in my thigh. Monitor it while you're cooking, and then come back and check it every now and again. Or you can set it on the remote and watch it while you're cooking other stuff. All right, so we're at 165. I let it go just a wee bit further because I was thinking I always cook my chickens to 165, so I should probably cook my turkey that far. My pop-up hasn't popped up, but I think we're going to be all right. So I got my meat thermometer, and if you recall, whenever I was pulling this bird apart, that thermometer popped out. So I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be accurate enough, but there's my bird, and she's a beauty. Now I just got to let it rest for 20 minutes, and then we'll carve it up. All right, so that concludes another episode of Brent's Backyard Redneckery. Hope you guys learned something today on how to butterfly a turkey, how to cook it at just the right temperature, at just the right level to make it nice and juicy. We also learned how to make the homemade gravy. So if you guys enjoyed yourselves, make sure to give me a thumbs up, share this with your friends, come back next time. I'll tell you what you need to do. Y'all have a good one.